Right, we're on.
Right, are we ready?
Yeah.
Right. Do I have to say the lot first, top?
You don't have to read it all.
Good. Right, apologies for absence.
Councillor Glenn, Councillor Stagg.
Declarations of interest? Anybody got that?
Has Stagg apologised then?
I think you
I
must
thought
have.
you would
I'll double
say you
check.
hadn't, yeah.
I've not received anything specifically, but he might have done a blanket one for the whole time he's away, so I'll check with Emma. That's what Councillor Glenn did, he just sent one saying
Yeah,
he was
so
away
that's
from
what
the
I've,
meeting.
yeah.
Are we accepting the apologies?
Yeah.
Yes.
Accepting the apologies? Right. Anybody got any declarations of interest?
Don't think so.
Any representations from interested parties?
Oh,
No.
can I declare an interest on his behalf?
Why, what's he done?
He got an electric vehicle.
I've got an electric vehicle.
What can I say?
Got EV charging points coming up later on in the agenda.
That's what I wondered.
I think he ought to declare.
So you want that as another
Worked for
interest?
local School as well.
Yes, yes.
So it's better.
Have that one.
So do I, so.
Yeah,
I live in
they're
a-
pouring out now.
I don't even work for myself. Never mind. Right. To approve the meetings of the previous meeting on the 26th of November 2019. Any objections? Can I have and a seconder? Smash it. I'll sign these. All 3 pages, isn't it?
Yeah, and then date the last
You
one.
haven't said all in favour yet.
Oh, sorry. All in favour?
Aye.
All those in favour even. All those in favour.
Is it 28th today?
Yeah.
Oh, how time flies.
3 days to go.
What for?
Yeah, the drive on the route.
Oh, no, you're
They're all lined up there in the internet.
Yeah, you drive it.
very welcome.
Right, to approve the costs, sorry, my point, I've forgotten, reports. To receive income and expenditure report for OTC's properties and open spaces. It's just to receive them, so we don't have to vote on it.
No.
Is everybody happy with that?
Not happy that we received them.
Right, to receive the progress update report for OTC's properties and open spaces.
Just on the lessons learnt on that one on the cortex for the fire alarms. There must have been something wrong in our processes that allowed it to happen. And we fill that, flush that gap now.
Yeah.
There's nothing there.
No. It's currently being fitted, and then Deborah's going to be brought up to speed on exactly what she's got to do. Same with the Legionella. I've been consulting with the Legionella guy and said to him, has he got a template of something that we can follow so that there's nothing missed each week, month, 6
Yes.
monthly reports
Okay.
that we need to do. Yeah, so we're on it.
Did you find out any more about the wall at St Peter's?
Sorry?
Did you find out anything about the wall at St Peter's, the boundary wall in New Street?
No, other than reporting it.
No, that's it. Yeah, we haven't got any costs of repair. Or if
we-
there's a...
we-
Well, we
I've
weren't
had-
sure whose it
We
was.
don't even know that
We
it's
don't, we
ours.
still don't
We don't
know
know
if it's
that it's
ours
ours.
or not. Okay, fine. I just thought I'd ask. Fine, okay. Fletton House to approve costs of repairs to FH guttering. Now, Lisa just gave me, and I've passed it around, in regard to the guttering costs, because unfortunately it seems that our people that put the Fletton House together decided not to do the job properly. And one of the consequences is that we've got pouring water down from the gutters and from the downpipes because they decided to screw the plastic guttering
Yep.
rather than use a flexible, waterproof mastic on the joints.
Yeah.
So that needs replacing, and the guttering also. There were 2 quotes there. From looking at the 2 quotes, I think the most professional one is the one that Ian's got in his hand at the moment, because it's far more, I think, more professional in its tone and its look.
Can I just ask, because I can't remember, whether we would have a guarantee for that work?
Possibly
How
did
long-
have, but I doubt it would have been 5 years.
Well, you see, if it's a new build, obviously it's 10 years. But I'm not sure about refurbs.
No. I can check,
Can you check?
but with everything else we've checked, we're way out of guarantee with everything.
Yeah. I was just thinking the structure's different, you see, to the interior.
Mm. I think everything
Gutters
else
on
we
the
tried to get
exterior.
with various contractors, I remember Hanneke saying everything that she tried to get them to come back, it was just an uphill struggle the whole time.
Well, it was. That doesn't mean to say that it was,
Mm.
that
Yeah.
they were right.
No. I'll check.
I think we better, in a few years' time, actually look to see if this room is falling down.
Well, there's cracks.
Mm.
Might be a sunroom.
Oh, I know.
Sorry?
Might be a sunroom, so.
You never know, yes, exactly.
Probably just plaster shrinkage.
No, that's plaster shrinkage will be sort of not that far down. It'll be in the crevice at the top.
Mm.
It's almost following the brick.
So at the moment the gutters are clean.
They've been cleaned, yeah.
It's following the roof line, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the one underneath.
Yeah, because initially
Yes,
I
exactly.
hadn't
This is
realised we've got a
along there
guy
as
that
well.
comes in and has got a contract to
Let's
clean
hope
them.
it's not
I
some
don't know
time.
how
Yeah, I
often
think
it
we
is.
ought to
And
get-
he turned up
Look
and
at
I
it.
said, oh, okay, so with those quotes I just said to them, I didn't realise that we've got a guy that's contracted to clean and who's come and done this, taken these pictures and these are his observations.
So we don't need them cleaned, we only need them repaired. Okay.
I'll double check that they've taken the cleaning out of that. But I did make it clear in the email that they'd already been cleaned out.
Because some of them aren't repaired either, they're replaced.
Yeah.
I think the guttering's got to be replaced, because if it's screwed together, it's not going to last.
Yeah, okay, I can see it,
So, are we going to go for, which quote are we going to go for, ladies and gentlemen?
cheaper one.
We'll go for the cheaper one?
So I'll say approved, subject to checking that we haven't got any
Yeah.
guarantees that we
Yeah.
can come back
Yeah.
on.
Yes, if you wouldn't mind.
Do we need to clarify what they're replacing
Yeah.
rather than just.
Well, bearing in mind they did it from ground level. Neither of them actually got up there, but they said they'll assess it at the time. But I would have imagined they've quoted on the sort of further side kind of thing to cover it.
On the photographs.
Yeah. Okay.
The hub, update. See report.
So the hub is still not in a good position, however, I have sat down with Emma and who's the other person I sat down with, Rebecca. Yeah, so we've been through it with Emma and Rebecca and another person, another name, Hannah.
Hannah, yeah.
Yeah. It's sort of really moving into the next phase of this. So it's a bit of a watch this space, because the next phase will get a lot more drastic than the stuff that we've got to date.
Okay.
It's really, that Paul has done a costing of it, and what we can afford in terms of manpower, and we certainly can't support the service that we're giving at the moment, within the cost base that we've got. So rather than saying anything more at the moment, we're just progressing that. But we've got, from essentially the end of this financial year onwards, we've got to get that place. We've got £2,000 we've put down for it. That will be a maintenance grant towards it. I'm quite, myself quite happy if we have a charitable cause that we want to support through the hub. you know, that we as a council can take a vote on, you know, adding money to it for a charitable cause.
What, I'm not sure what you mean by that.
Well, the one that I noticed the other week, I was round the back of Serpentine Green, and there's a little church round the back there, and they advertise up there. They've got I forget what they term it, but it's a men's chapter group. Yeah, it's a social group for you know, a lot of the isolated men that are living around there. You know, it's just an example of a social group that I feel that we could support. You know, and the hub would become. And
We
the hub
can't
cafe.
support something in another parish.
No, I'm talking about it in doing something similar.
Oh, I'm
Ourselves.
sorry,
Oh.
when you're describing
I'm
it.
just looking at an idea, and that was just one. You know,
Yeah.
but it's, you know, we can understand. I can understand us doing things like that, but trying to operate it as a business, you know, with its current deficit, you know, to me is not acceptable. And you know, in the budget we put down for the next financial year, we took it all the way down to a £2,000 grant that we'd be giving it. You know, so we've got to get a thing to work in that.
So you mean if say there was a men's group like the knitting group that want to meet in the hub, we would support them in that way?
Yeah,
is
so
that
you
right?
know, we would make it in the
So
same
I mean,
way.
we've been down that
we-
road with the knitters.
Yeah, but the same way that we give grants out to other things.
Yeah.
You know, somebody might want a grant and we'd say,
Yeah.
what is the idea of facility?
Yeah.
So all I'd like to say at this point then is to watch this space, but you know, we are moving, you know, we're getting extremely close to the end of this financial year,
Mm.
and we've got to start the next one on the right footing.
Just going back to the last point, we didn't get a proposer and seconder. Could do that. About
Sorry,
it.
to see what?
I propose to fix the gutters.
Oh, sorry, I thought we had. I'm sorry,
I thought that
apologies,
was
my
lovely.
fault.
And Roy seconded it.
All those in favour?
Excellent, thank you.
Sorry, I was reading the updates and forgot that was
You're doing a good job there, so.
I know, I'm really good at these stuff.
Between me and Peter, we've got enough to drive energy nuts.
Okay, the next one is about the courthouse. I think it's self-explanatory.
No, you've missed one, sorry, Peter.
Oh, sorry.
QVH.
Yeah, well,
Received
because I'd read that and we'd actually talked about it at the last full council meeting.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it. So we see the minutes of the QVHWG meetings 1 and 2. I say we did receive the number 1 at the full council, and we've had the 1 and 2. Yeah. So we've had both of them. I think that what they've done so far is incredible, considering such a short period of space. So I'm quite happy to leave them to do that.
Just a bit of background, there has been some correspondence with the Gilbert and Sullivan people. You know, they were worried about the future of QVH, so I'll put them quite straight. You know, we have no intention of selling the QVH. We did do a study of our options, you know, but you know, we want to go on for a long-term partnership with them. Put them in touch with Jerry, because they also have some ideas of what could be done there. Yeah, but you know, when I put them in touch with Jerry, it was to improve the commercial offering of the QVH.
In other words, we're putting up their rates by 150%.
No, straight up though, they were thinking about, you know, other ideas of bringing more people in.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But then they did complain about the sofas in there.
Sofas?
Well,
Yeah,
so
you know, in the
chairs.
lobby we've got the settee in the
Oh,
chairs.
those.
Yeah.
Well, it's our lobby, isn't it?
The false leather coming apart on
Yeah, I mean, they are.
Yeah, just not dog proof, that's what I found with them.
Not what?
Dog proof.
Yeah, they are horrible. I noticed last time they
Yeah,
were very
they are.
The
decrepit.
problem is, of course, is when Tony goes in there on all fours, then you know you're in trouble.
Carry on, please.
Right, the courthouse. To consider the, well, as I say, we've read this. Any thoughts?
We're in trouble. So how much of it is occupied at the moment?
We've got 3 offices spare at the moment, so the 2 that were already spare and in the process of being decorated, and had tenants that wanted it,
Yeah.
but then we had the problems with the roof. And then we've just before Christmas, Office 8 became available in the main block.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 currently.
So about 2/3 full at the moment, are we, with the museum?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I understand the one with the roof, that's understandable, we can't rent it until we've got it fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although this is what on the agenda, this the tenant in Annex Office 1, Zoikel, he said he would quite happily pay us £100 a month plus VAT for using one of them as storage, even with us saying this roof repairs going on. That's why we didn't rent it out. However, if we agree to that, because obviously it's about half the rent that we could get for it as an office, that ties us up for 18 months to him when we could get the
Yeah, it's
rent.
not on.
No.
Not on.
And I've been told, I was contacted by the roofing people, they've put the scaffolding up, they've started to work on the slate roof, and he said we're going to hopefully bring forward the dates for the other roof, so they should be starting that sooner rather than later, which I didn't think they were going to start till March time.
Right.
So that's probably a non-starter.
Shall we not consider that then in that case,
Okay.
as a proposition?
And there's nothing else in that building that's any good to him, is there? Storage space?
Well, there's Office 8, but I mean we're in the process of getting that valued by Berries, and you know we could get someone like that tomorrow. So do we really want to tie it up
No,
with somebody's
definitely
storage?
not. I'm just wondering whether we have another little annex or room or anything else.
Broom cupboard, yeah. No, there isn't really anything.
Okay.
So that's a no-go. We've been told
Well,
no.
when you said there isn't anything, we've got that tea room thing on the one floor, isn't there? What's exactly, who owns that?
Tea room?
Yeah, we've got up on the first floor, there's like a little cupboard with a door opening
That's
out.
the kitchen.
It's the kitchen.
It's only a kitchen.
That's the communal kitchen for everybody.
Yeah. Do they use it?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright. £7 a month. Putting tea's costing.
Broom cupboard.
I thought he'll have them paid to use the loo in a minute.
Tea's costing more
You sure
than it
you
does
don't
in the
want
hub.
Put a penny in on the loo.
And what?
50p? Well, no, it's more than that,
Good,
isn't it?
Bennett, it's a pound now
It's a-
down in London, isn't it?
That's the one where you have the toilet.
I'm speaking metaphorically.
Yeah, I know.
Spending a penny.
Keep it going, boss.
Okay, the next one, because we're not obviously going with the Zokel request. To approve cost of £400 plus VAT for a full courthouse roof survey.
Yeah.
Right, so I think we've got to have it done in consideration of, we know that the courthouse roof is tottering in certain areas. I know we're having the repair done now,
Yeah.
but we might as well pay for the £400 and let's find out exactly what the true cost of the
Yeah.
roof repairs are. Okay, is that okay?
Is it worth him doing the guttering while he's up there? No, straight up though, in terms of the survey.
Yeah, just in case.
I'm assuming we'd sort of look at that
What could
anyway.
we ask him to do it? He might ask for a bit more, but...
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
no problem.
Okay, can I have a proposal?
Proposal.
I'll second
All those in favour? Unanimous. Car park and toilets update, C report. Now I understand this is
Severe blockage.
Yes,
I've got that.
I'm really pleased that we kept hold of the toilets and didn't get rid of them.
We can market it.
I got a call at the weekend as well to say that the cupboard in between the two toilets was flooded. So I went down on Saturday when I got back from Milton Keynes, and there was something to do with the men's urinals. Toilet pipe had come loose, so it was just completely flooded with.
Yeah.
Was that vandalism?
Well, from somebody's opinion who I know, they said those pipes shouldn't come apart. No, it's not easily accessible to the public.
Yeah.
It's a cleaning cupboard and it's down a very narrow, tight space where all the pipe work is, but I think things in the cleaning cupboard had been stored in there, so whether something heavy had been stored and knocked it down. But I've told the cleaners not to store anything down there. The pipe's now reconnected and we'll just have to keep an eye on it. But I think we do need to get a plumber in to actually make sure the pipe work is supported properly.
Okay.
Because I think that was definitely the problem with the blockage of the gents' toilets as well, because one of the waste pipes was at an angle like that, so obviously all the waste was going
What if
that
somebody
way.
had been standing on it or something?
That's what the person who looked at it said
It
to
sounds
me.
that to me,
Yeah.
like that
So
to
that's
me.
presumably the cleaner.
Well, could be.
Well,
Oh,
nobody else can get in there, is it? It's the other side.
Locked.
Only a very, very slight person can get in there as well, to be fair. It's literally about that much space.
It just sounds like bad plumbing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know, as you say, that
It's
you shouldn't
difficult
have.
to get to, very
Yeah.
difficult, but yeah. But I've said to Emma, although we've sort of fixed it, I think it does need looking at and making sure the brackets are holding it upright.
just make sure that, and it sounds weird, I'd probably laugh, but having worked in hospital and with people with substance misuse problems, they're apt to climb up to lavatories and hide stuff.
Yeah, but
So-
this is in the cupboard in between,
So,
Val, so
but
there should be
it's
no
not,
access.
It's not anybody, because you said the one in the men's was loose.
Yeah,
Well, it could be somebody who stood and
from the other side.
Yeah,
it could be.
it's worth having a look,
Okay.
because that's where things would be stored.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I'll nip down and check. If there is, I'll tell you.
Well,
when I
you
wake
can
up.
go, because he can go, because he's tall. Job for you, Peter.
Thank you very much. That's really nice. I don't like toilets the best of the time.
So is there anything we need to do or can do, or just?
Not at the minute. We're just. I've got to get quotes really. Now it's not an urgent one. Because I thought I was going to have to call somebody out on Saturday or Sunday, but we've managed to rectify it for now. I think the first point of call is to see if John and Nobby can have a look at it, because if it's just a case of drilling some brackets in or putting some supports under it, then it's something they can do. If it needs something further, then I'll have to take it further.
No, I agree. John and Robert.
Yeah.
Something like
Yeah.
that. Right. Right. Oh yeah, the car park. Completed the repainting of the lines.
Yeah, looks like small.
Do you know, I walk up there almost every day. I've not noticed.
It's too dark.
Isn't that terrible? Right, we've then got, if I've got this right, give me 1 second so I know where I am. Recreation ground. Preparation for the wildflower area to begin soon. So you can read that, please.
Yeah, sorry, there's quite a lot more preparation in that than we thought initially, because we thought it was just raking the ground and throwing the seeds out basically. We've earmarked an area that we think it can go, and I think Nobby said it's about 20 square metres, so it's near where the basketball ring is, on that side, on the right hand side. But Nobby's read through the instructions and it involves taking off the grass,
Yeah, you've got to
digging
take
it, turning it, digging it, turning it and all the rest of it, but he is on it and we've said to him he needs to start preparing it soon, and then as soon as he's nearly ready I'll order the seeds. I've got a couple of websites that we can order them from.
Now, isn't that amazing? When it's your own garden, you don't have to do anything like that and the weeds just grow.
Grow anyway, yeah.
You know, you don't have to even think about it, do you?
No, that's true.
Okay, that's fine, thank you very much. Snipe Meadow.
We're doing the skateboard thing.
Oh yeah, skateboard park, recreation.
Oh yeah,
ground.
sorry, yeah, we've got a cost for that, sorry, my apologies. Right, yeah, skateboard.
So, as I said before, Tony and Ian got here, although on the ROSPA report, the skate ramps were not listed as being deemed necessary to repair.
Yeah.
The RPM people who did the rest of the repairs, they had highlighted it and said, you know, you've got two options. You can either replace the sheets, which is very expensive, or as a temporary measure, you can fill these cracks. And they said it won't last forever, but it'll make it safer, you know, for now.
Yep.
we didn't consider it at the time because at the time we said the ROSPA report says this, we'll do what the ROSPA report says, but John does his weekly checks and he brings it up every time and he says he's really concerned about it, concerned about them lifting even further. So we've got a quote for, is it 800 to repair them, or they've also quoted for replacing them, which I think is about 6,000. So it's basically what you want to do.
Can I ask, have they given you any indication of how long the 840 price would last? Or is it just a temporary thing for, say, 6 months?
I suppose it depends on usage. I could ask her to say, what do you think would be the life expectancy of this?
Okay.
So yeah, it's really whether you want to do those temporary measures or whether we want to discuss it further in terms of replacing the actual boards, which I think the quote's on there as well, isn't it?
Yeah, £6,880.
In which case, obviously, we then got to talk about budget.
Is there a plan at some point to redesign, rebuild the whole thing?
There is,
Yeah.
with 106 money.
We had section 106
Yeah.
money.
In which case,
We've still got it.
redo
We've still got it. So why don't we see what we should
We've
do?
reallocated it, haven't we?
No, I think we have we? Did we put it to start?
I don't know. I thought it had gone to...
I think there was some talk of it going to Snipe Meadow, I'm not sure of it.
no, well, I wasn't thinking of Snipe Meadows.
There was something else. I know what you're saying,
No, we
but I
didn't.
remember.
Something...
My view is we didn't, when we did our budget round, just before Christmas, we didn't have the bigger number in here. Let's do the 840 to keep us going.
Yeah, the trouble is, I'm not being horrible, but this is used by youngsters,
Oh yeah.
and if it only lasts 3 months, and the youngster then,
No, it'll be longer than that.
well,
Yeah.
like 6 months.
Yeah,
It'll be longer than that.
Let's say that all of a sudden somebody, after 6 months, they get ripped, their legs get ripped by the sharp points. Should we not just replace it?
Well, no, we go on our safety checks, don't we? We continue with the safety checks.
And ROSPA,
And if ROSPA have agreed that
Yeah.
they're okay, then we're covered from an insurance
We are.
point of
Either
view.
way you
We
do it.
definitely are.
Yeah.
Belt and braces.
Yeah.
So I
Carry out the remedial work.
Let's do the
And
remedial
let's
works
try and
now.
get some grants from somewhere to
well, can you check on the
spark out in the
106?
longer term.
yeah, I'm not aware that there's still 106.
If you can
earmarked
just check
for
it, Lisa, because I think, if there is 106 money and it's not been earmarked for something else, I think we might use it now and get it all done.
Okay. Can I have a proposer in the meantime for the...
I'll propose the remedial one.
Okay,
All those in favour?
okay, thank you.
I abstain.
Oh, did you?
Yes. I noticed it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I understand it.
Sorry.
There's a comment here about the rugby club using the pitch at the recreation ground.
Yeah, I was going to mention that in the any other business. I noticed when I was walking the dog a couple of Sunday mornings ago that they were using it, and then I spoke to, I think, Nobby, and he says they always do. And then I had 2 complaints that people I bumped into that said it's not really on because we want to bring our kids down on Sunday to play and use the facilities. And not only that, because of how wet it's been, they
Churned it up.
really churned it up. So I said to Emma, are we aware of any agreement with the council that we've said to them they can do this? And she said, not as far as I'm aware. So I've emailed Graham Snelling from the rugby club and said, we're not aware of any agreement that you've had in the past, and
They've never
We're
done it,
getting-
in my knowledge. How many years did
Well,
we say I've been on the
Yeah.
council?
Yeah,
I've never known it in 20 odd years on the
No.
council.
For us to approve it, no.
Do you want me to have a chat with Graham as well?
well,
No, I
I've
don't
spoken
think
to him and he said
We just tell
we'll
them.
stop it.
Yeah. Oh, that's fine.
And I said to him, I'm assuming it's because your pitches are waterlogged, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not really, you can't really just go and use somebody else's facilities
No.
without their permission. So I didn't go down there this Sunday, but I'm assuming because he said that they wouldn't do it anymore, then they won't.
Well,
The
Graham's
17 pitch
man of his
certainly
word.
would
Yeah.
get waterlogged,
Yeah.
wouldn't it?
But it's an interesting little point though, isn't it?
Right.
Well, it's a public facility for anybody to do whatever they want with it. We've got goalposts either end of it. So
But
if
not-
somebody wanted to go there and have a game of football on it, they're allowed to. So if somebody's going to have a game of rugby on it, No, I don't
Irrelevant.
know.
Well,
I
yeah,
don't
but then you
quite know
prevent
how.
anybody else from going on it. If
Well,
you do that.
you know, it's like a first come, first served, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah, but they normally book it. So if you go on any recreation ground where there's a football pitch, a rugby pitch or anything else like that,
Yeah.
you would book that time and that space.
Yeah.
Like all parks that...
But we don't book it, do we?
And if it was
No,
going to
but
be
they
a
come and
one-off,
book it.
then, but
Yeah.
because it had been reported that it had been fairly regular, I think
I think actually it's a custom and practice matter.
Yeah, I think
Custom and
that's
practice are that on that recreation ground, it's used
Yeah.
for,
Parents
little
are
children
not
Casual
play football.
use.
go down
one
there
goal.
with their kids,
no.
carrying a ball
Sorry?
down and having a knock around for an hour. They're not going to book it, are they?
No.
no.
No, what I'm saying is an
And that's what it's
organised
for.
event, which is what
Yeah.
the rugby club have done, and maybe even a football club if a football club went down there.
But
What
if
they
the
should do is
football club
approach
don't,
Arundel School and ask them to use their...
with respect, you see, the
I
football
don't
club
use it at the
don't.
moment.
Is it so yours at Wetford as well?
I've only got two, and that one is, I've never seen it as sudden as it is.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing to consider, I suppose, is they've got liability insurance, haven't they? And we've got liability insurance, and if one of them got injured, the
On
two
our-
insurers
yeah,
would
yeah.
just go at each other, particularly if they ran into that basketball area, which wouldn't be allowed in a rugby club.
Speed up the EMC on that. Right, Snipe Meadow.
It sounded good, is it good?
Yes,
Yeah.
we think so, and I had a conversation with the lady from Grantsgate yesterday, just asking, she asked me to break down what portion of the quote was labour and what was parts.
Right.
So I went back to her with that information and she said you should hear something. She said we say the end of February, she said, but I've got a feeling it'll be earlier than that.
Lovely.
That's
Yeah, I'll
fantastic.
try
As long as it's good news.
I tried not to read too much into her tone though,
Yeah,
because
right.
you know, it's but yeah,
You
so
do need some good news, Emma.
yeah. And with Emma and I, a bit of news. Oh, have I put it on here? Yes, I thought that was new today because we're meeting a lady tomorrow that she thinks there might be some funding for the pathway. You know, the muddy bit.
Oh, yes,
the
yeah.
boardwalk.
So,
So-
from the car park to,
Yeah.
brilliant.
So we're meeting her tomorrow to consider those options. Should be good.
Good, fantastic.
So the third party release thing, do we need to do anything with that tonight, or?
No, because until it's
That's fine,
until it's
confirmed.
yeah, and I don't. It's around about 2,000, so it might be over. So it may have to go to next full council.
Good news, I think.
Right, now the EV charging points at the co-op, we had a sort of communication on
Nice to
them,
get a
haven't we?
response.
That was somewhere.
So what it says, we need a big one.
Yeah, well, we
Fast
need a big one.
charging.
And the proposal at the moment is to get a big one, so that's fine. That's the installed solution, isn't it?
I thought we were going to get at least two. Is that for two cars? Just one big one?
I think it's probably for one. So it's got two leads on it, I think, but it will charge two different cars.
It will charge two different cars at
But not at
once.
the same time.
Oh, right. Sorry, you know more
There
about
are two
this than I
different
do,
plugs.
so-
Two
Yeah, yeah.
different plug systems.
Right.
So we'll probably have cables for both, but we can go back and ask.
Hmm.
I mean, do we want to go back to Intervolt and say, we've now heard, come up with a solution? Or,
Can do. That's what I wanted you to tell me.
yeah, I'm happy to do that. Because at the moment we've had no one for them to talk to,
No.
and now they've got someone to talk to, so
Yeah.
that's fine. So if I give him that Collier's contact,
You're happy to do that, are you? Yeah.
I'll do that tomorrow morning.
Well, now that Ian's got an electric car, he should get a new EV or EV point, shouldn't he?
Had one for 4 years.
Right, yeah.
Just on a technicality, it's not our car park.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Well, the co-op.
It's on a long-term lease to the co-op.
Correct.
Oh, I know that, but it's...
So, you know, we can't do anything on the car park without co-op's
approval.
approval.
No, appreciate it.
There's even more exciting one of actually kicking it into the co-op to get it gone.
The only problem with them doing it is that they would get the rent,
Mm.
which is fine because it'll get done.
Well, what we do need to do before we get into it is make sure you know, if there's a rental or whatever coming back off it,
Mhm.
that we are going
Yeah.
to get it.
We'll need a really
Well,
good
that's what we
legal
need to have,
agreement, won't we?
Yeah, so we you know, unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because the response from the co-op has been slow on everything we've done with them,
Mhm.
is we'd better get the commercials of this sorted out. You know, otherwise we might get ourselves in the liability with the EV company.
In what sense?
Well, if they commit to doing something and then find out they're not allowed to operate it.
They want us, or they want to find out if co-op are willing to let us
Okay, right.
take that parking space. We
Yeah.
haven't been able to get a contact.
No.
No, so
So that's the first question. And
Yeah.
the second question is, they'd be happy to do a deal with co-op, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it's better for us if they do a deal with us,
Hmm.
particularly if the co-op.
Have you seen the copy of the lease? Because it's
Well, the
a
copy-
strange, yes.
Yeah, I've seen it,
Yeah,
because
because
they
it's-
reference the pub thing. You know, the funeral parlour wanted access across it.
Mm.
Yeah,
You know, so I read it cover to cover.
yeah, because it's a strange beast.
Well,
in the
you know,
sense
it's
of,
very clear, you know, it's the co-op's car park and we have a right to use it for public cars.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I can go back to Instavolt tomorrow and say, we find them a name, and say, do you want to talk to them about technical issues? But do you want us to be in contact with these two people here, Chris and Chris, to talk about getting that lease changed, or?
Well, I think whatever we do has to be within the terms of the lease, doesn't it? So we just need, you know, it's essentially that all that we need is the co-op to say that this is okay. You know, you don't need to change the lease or anything. So, you know, you just need a formal letter. from
Yeah,
the
because
co-op.
we actually still own the land.
Oh, we do, yes.
So it's our land to do what we want on our land in that respect.
Okay, so which has to come first then?
Yeah, it is.
I would have thought the co-op would be in favour, because if they've got two
Oh,
cars
Oh, I'm sure the
being
co-op will be in
charged,
favour.
they might get business
Yeah.
from it.
Unless they ask to do it themselves.
Yeah.
But they
So-
haven't bothered to do that, have they, as so far?
You know, sometimes when somebody's asleep, it's best to let them sleep. You don't know. We're going to have to wake them up. I feel that we can't get into this too deeply without having a formal letter from the co-op saying they're happy with what we're doing.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think, Lisa, that's probably all we need.
Mm.
You know, we need a letter from the co-op saying they're happy with Amble Town Council, you know, working with a contractor to install electric vehicle charging.
I think they're still a little upset that we allowed Waitrose to open. That's
Is
why
that
they
right?
don't bother to talk to us.
Yeah.
No, they've always been
So can you do that? And I'll
pathetic.
Yeah.
tell Instavolt we've got to take hands and we're pushing on with it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. You know, just tell them we're doing this. Just physically, where would it be?
They want to put it, because of where the electrics are, the opposite side from the toilet, over towards
East
whatever
Road.
that name is, East Road.
East Road.
But where their vehicles discharge their stock into the
Yeah.
storage.
Essentially coming
Will
out.
it interfere with their...
No, it's the far side of the
Vehicle.
front.
Oh, the
It's
front.
on the East Road pavement side.
Oh, I see.
Oh, right. Okay.
Oh,
I
right.
think it was the two, as you look at the toilets, look over the toilets, it was those two in the far corner, wasn't it, far
very
left
far
corner.
Yeah.
So as you look at the toilets, look over them, and it's the far two left ones
Nearly opposite
facing.
to the delivery vehicles.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
So
right.
no, not getting in anyone's way.
Yeah.
It's where the house used to be, isn't it?
And the nice thing is they look after everything.
Yeah,
Mm.
There's no fact with us.
that's fine.
Right, to consider Oundle School's request to remove or relocate bench located in the grounds of St Peter's Church outside the gate of the Gascoigne building due to problems being currently experienced. I don't know of any problems.
I don't
I
know.
don't know, I just know a lot of people sit on it.
What's wrong
The
with that?
gentleman that reported it to me is it Constable?
Usual, yeah.
It's used for local teenagers to smoke weed. So he said there's very often an overwhelming smell and it's not good for the children that are walking past. And he says he's not seen anybody else sitting on those benches apart from these kind of people. So he's just said, is there any way that could be removed or relocated?
Well, they'll just go and sit on it wherever else it's put.
I think more people use it than
Yeah,
And I think you take the seat away, they'll go and sit somewhere else.
it's a fact of life. And they've gone there because the church have put gates on the
Yeah, they used to
entrances
sit in
to
that
the
entrance,
church.
didn't they? Yeah.
So it's only a matter of them being, you know, relocating themselves, if you like.
So can we say then that we've considered the request, but we think at this moment
There's
in
no
time...
merit
that we,
in the request.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Right, to receive information on the War Memorial Conservation Trust regarding amending and adding names to the and decide next steps. Roy, I should imagine you're more into this than anybody else.
Yeah, having read this, there's quite a
Long
lot
one,
here.
isn't it?
Yeah, and they seem to be saying, have you consulted everybody, which is what I wanted to do in the first place anyway.
Yeah.
Getting our press officer to put a letter out in the Nene Valley News asking the public what they think about the changes. I did this a couple of years ago when we noticed there were some changes needed, when we had the War Memorial repaired and cleaned, and there were mixed responses. We got responses from all over the country, strangely enough. People contacted people, and we had replies from the south coast and all over, of people who had an interest in Oundle and its War Memorial. So we've got a British Legion meeting next Monday.
Yeah.
If I could have permission to show this document to the...
I've already sent it to Stephen.
Have you?
Yeah, I sent it to Stephen today, and
Right.
he said, obviously there's a lot of research and bits and pieces need doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, he accepted it and said the same as you, that we'll look at it at the meeting next week.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why you can't follow it up though, Roy.
No.
Have a chat with them when you know, at the next meeting. Do you?
Well, I'd like to show this letter to the members.
Yes.
No, I
So
don't see any reason why you can't do that.
My view is-
otherwise they won't know what it's all about. They need to read it for themselves, I think.
That's fine.
So, you know, perhaps you check with Town Clerk whether there's any reason why I can't.
Yeah, I don't think...
These
there is,
4
but-
pages, your email and the response.
Yeah.
If Emma would come back to me, if there's any problem with it, let me know. If not, I'll circulate this round the room.
I think it's a fairly open letter, these.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Standard values.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
but
think
it's not addressed to the British Legion, it's addressed to the Town Council.
Yeah, no, I
Therefore,
appreciate
Yeah.
it.
I shouldn't be passing it round a
Without,
third party meeting as it
without,
was.
without
Yeah.
permission, and you have our permission.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my personal view is, British Legion should have full authority to do what they see is right with that memorial. We should we will rubber stamp.
Part and parcel of
whatever
what you do, Roy, so I don't see any problem with that.
they- we will rubber stamp it.
Right, I'll do that then.
And to be fair, you're best placed to get responses from people when you do the research
Yeah.
and approach people for permission.
Yeah.
Right, next one is to consider a vegan...
Stephen's got a copy of this, has he
I
already?
sent it to him today, yeah, I
Right.
thought I just remembered I'd not actually sent it to him, so I thought I'll send it to him tonight.
Right,
And I didn't send it to you because I knew I'd already sent it and I'll be speaking to you tonight.
right.
Okay, next one, to consider a new vegan street market event in Oundle with a view to being a regular event in the future. A smaller trial event has been booked for the QVH on March 21st to test the popularity of the event. Views?
What form would the event be? Is it like a market or something?
It's normally a street market, but he says he does indoor events, so that's why I suggested maybe do the Queen Vic Hall first as a trial to see how popular it is. We can do anything from 20 stalls up to 100. So he said you won't have, because I explained the issues we'd had with the French and the Italian market not being big enough. He says it attracts people from all over the country. It's something that's gaining popularity, and it's not just food, it's everything, it's clothing, it's everything that a vegan could possibly want, apparently.
Sounds
See-
a little bit shady.
The only problem I have with that, and I'm being a devil advocate here, they actually couldn't stop a person selling meat on the corner because, you know, it's not illegal to sell meat. So you can't just have a vegan market. I wouldn't have thought anyway, but. And are you going to close the meat shops down while they're on the market?
No,
Yeah,
no,
market.
obviously they don't.
Sorry?
Arundel wouldn't be a vegan.
It's just what they're offering
I
at
know,
their
I know what you're
event.
saying.
So is Vegan Street a brand?
Oh, it's a brand, it's not actual.
I think, I think he's just the organiser, and it's different people all come together, the same as any of the markets that we've done. But it is all vegan, every product that is sold is vegan. So I said to him, well, there's nothing stopping you having a small event at the Queen Victoria Hall. I said, but obviously if it's in the marketplace, then
There's a lot of other.
there's a lot of things that we have to
in particular
organise.
in the marketplace, and just going on Peter's point now about the butchers, you know, that we have Trendwells in the marketplace, you know, that
And
anything
Wells.
they do, you know, cannot, I'm just thinking about where it would be
Yeah,
located,
yeah.
you see. Yeah, anything they do cannot, cannot have a negative impact on our residents of the marketplace.
Also the restaurants
Yeah.
and the cafes.
Yeah, but you
I think-
could say that with the Christmas market though, we have people that are selling vegan food on Christmas.
Yeah,
market.
I don't
problem.
mind that because
No.
they're in with everybody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't
They're
turn
not
into a
being
vegan
exclusive.
protest.
Oh, right, okay,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
It must not turn into a
But
protest.
that'll be the chance, the 21st of March, for us
Yeah.
to test the water.
I think that's
See
probably
how
a good
it's
idea.
received.
Is
Yeah,
that a
yeah.
good date? Because the other thing, we're getting more and more. I'm not necessarily against the fairs and things we have, the markets, but we've got to be careful not to put each other out of business.
Yeah.
We've got,
Yeah, yeah.
so we've only got limited number of weekends that we can do it and that kind of thing.
But anything that's like a pop-up thing in the Queen Victoria Hall is
That's fine.
good for the Queen Victoria Hall.
I totally agree.
So maybe let's see how that goes and
Yeah.
take
Yeah,
it
the
from
Queen
there.
Victoria one is good.
Almost call it a pop-up vegan market.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
After
you're right.
21st of March, it needs to come back on the agenda for this meeting then, really.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes,
to get
yes,
a
it
report
does.
back on,
Yeah,
yeah.
as many of us as possible should get around the 21st of
Yeah.
March one to understand it.
That's it, yeah.
The other one, he's not interested at all then in our farmers market.
We
Sorry,
did
just
speak
on
about
that
it
then.
briefly.
No, because the farmers market, you've got pork and.
No, I'm not thinking about that aspect of it. The farmers market is for local farmers.
It's 40 mile radius, you see.
There's
So-
strict rules about that.
Yes, yes, all right. Yeah.
Can we not put in? Can we not do the French market and the vegan market the same day?
Having said the council.
Why don't we have a French vegan market?
Yeah.
Are you joking? Can you see a Frenchman being a vegan? I'm sorry. I suppose there are one or two.
Yeah, many, I'm sure.
No, it's just that then that way we can have the marketplace for the French and the vegans can have the QVH.
So we're not committing to anything until after the 21st of
No,
March.
Okay.
no, no.
Yeah.
Right, to consider allowing the French market to visit Arundel in 2020.
Right, so the lady's come back to me and she understood all the reasons that we put to her last time for why we weren't going to invite her back. So she said, would they consider it if we condensed it then into the smaller area of just the marketplace, like our normal farmers market and Thursday market?
I don't see any problem with that, but will they still pay for the whole?
Well, they've been paying for per stall, haven't they?
Yeah, yeah.
They were paying, I can't remember what it was.
But that doesn't really pay for the cost of shutting the marketplace, does
So
it?
just online, it was not commercial that I said no to them.
Yeah.
It was purely because the quality of what they were,
Right.
would tainted the name of Arundel.
Right.
And that's what my feeling. I've had people come to me saying, we've come all the way in for this blooming French market,
Yeah.
and effectively it's one stall,
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
and they're really, really
It's
quite
Arundel
angry
French
about it.
market,
Okay.
Leave it to an open vote, but personally,
Yeah.
No, I agree.
let the back in.
And we don't want that sort of idea to get attached to anything else that we do,
No, check
where
this
people say, well, it's not worth going to Oundle because it's...
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
So
so is
not
that unanimous
That's
not?
the question.
Well, no, we've got 2 or 3.
Yeah.
It's a majority now.
Yeah?
Okay, so that's that one. Okay, Arundel events requests.
Right. Yes, I had a meeting with Oundle International Festival, Philip from AMPS and Paul Evely from Oundle Business Association, and I can't remember which one of them came up with the idea, but we were obviously talking about planning our events for this year, working more together as a team on the events, and someone came up with the idea when we came on the subject of how difficult it is for parking, as to why we don't publicise the fact that on our major event days, so the 16th of May for the Vintage Festival, the 20th of June for the Food Festival and the 5th of December for our Christmas market, that we advertise that the long stay car park is closed for general use and that it's only usable for the traders on these 3 days. Obviously we'd have to inform Fairline and actually not police it, that's probably the wrong word, but actually have volunteers on the gates, staff it, so that only the people that are trading at the event get to park there. Thus it takes them out of the other places that they park, filling it up for people that are visiting that have to come in their cars. And we just all thought it was quite a good idea for those 3 main days, and that we do that each year so people get to know that is just trader parking. And then along with all the other parking we put on, hopefully we won't have the issues that we've had in the past.
Well, I would say, why don't we just use the wharf in that case?
They do for the Vintage Festival and for the Food Festival, but obviously by the 5th of December most of those places are waterlogged. It's the same with South Road, approaching the school about South Road, Fletton Field. I always get permission to use this field here, but if it's been very, very wet, you can't do it.
I think traffic-wise, this is probably a better route. And the reason I say that is that if you put the vans somewhere else and leave the long stay open, cars will drive down East Road, find out the car park's full, and then join the queue going around the town. If they know that car park is not open, they'll go to one of the satellite park and ride type facilities we have.
There is no park and ride facility.
Well, we have
It's just
some.
park and
Is there?
Yeah,
We've done it before.
park
We have
and
done
ride.
it before in
It's
the
what we
past
have.
for events. We haven't for the
Oh,
last
really?
2 years.
I had no idea.
But anyway, what I meant was a satellite
Yeah.
type facility.
So you get
So
them, you've stopped them coming into the Walway,
Yeah.
getting them to pass somewhere else.
Because, you know, this sort of thing that I do, I go to these towns, I go and find the most convenient car park first, find it's full, and then join the traffic elsewhere. Well, if they know it isn't, it's never going to be open, we put notices out, long stays closed, shops full, Yeah, so I think...
well, and it's one
of
of the few bits of parking that we've actually got control over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Only for 9 years.
Yeah, no, it's worth doing, and provided we sort of publicise it.
Advertise it well in
And
advance.
you would have to
And
open
review
that
it.
barrier up that stops the high vehicles getting into the second part of the car park.
Oh yeah.
Because the vans that these trailers have won't be able to get into most of the car park. I don't know if you've noticed, we've got a big
You've got a
bar
big barrier.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
with a padlock on it, nobody knows where the key is. Well, it was padlocked 5 years ago.
Oh,
wasn't
right.
it?
Cut it off,
You get
put
rid
a
of
new...
Yeah.
You're talking which car park are you talking about?
The long stay.
Stay road.
Well, there's 2 long stay.
Yeah, the
East
one,
Road.
sorry, the one
The
on
East Road.
John
Yeah, not the one at the end of West Street.
No, the John Strong one. So it's in 2 halves. You can get
No, I
into-
know
You
that.
can get into the right half all right, and the
Yeah,
left
yeah,
half is...
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
On that basis, is the one on the end of West Street a better choice? Because it doesn't have a barrier,
Too
does
far
it?
for them to take the stock, isn't it, in a way?
Well, the one from East Road.
Those who go back to fetch
Oh, you mean
more
Drill
stock.
Hall?
Yeah,
I would have thought that would be a better place for it.
just because they have...
But there's a
big barrier
barrier
across the
there, you
top.
see.
Oh yes,
It's
there
an
is,
art
isn't
barrier.
there? Yeah, there is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, leave it
There
to you,
are
Lisa.
plans can go in.
But you agree with the idea, the
Yeah, the
principle of
concept, I
it.
think
So
is
can
good.
I have a
Yeah.
proposer and a seconder? Ian and Tony.
Have you seen who it is?
All
Ian
those
and
that want to
Tony,
vote.
all in favour? You in favour?
No, I'm not sure.
All right.
Okay, abstain.
I'm just not sure
No,
about
okay.
using that particular car park.
Yeah. So you think you should use the other car park?
So, what did you agree in principle?
Well, for two reasons. One is selfish, which I won't go into. And one is, I personally think the West Street car park would be better for the lorries, because although there is that bar there,
You
there are
can't,
lots
you
of
can't,
chances
there's a
vans
bar there,
goes in
you
there.
can't
Yeah.
get them in, yeah.
But the
But
tranny
only
vans,
trolleys, yeah.
I'm talking about the high base
Yeah.
No vans. can go in.
sprinters can go in there.
The
So
only
they
thing
can
with
go.
that is that I think it's too small, because I think
Yes,
there's only
I
about,
think
there's
it's
only about
probably-
32 car parking spaces,
Yeah,
isn't
I
there?
think
I
that's
was-
the problem.
I was just-
I understand that.
I was
Well, there
just
is-
happy to leave it to Lisa to
Yeah.
work out which is the best.
So
Yeah.
a long
Yeah.
stay car.
A long stay car park, yeah,
So
okay.
with that
So-
said, are you all right to vote for it?
Go on, stick your hand up.
No, put it in.
You agree in principle?
I agree
Stick
in
your hand
principle
up.
to do it.
That's all we
yeah.
want to do.
Okay.
That's
That's all
fine.
we want.
Unanimous.
One thing you could actually do, Lisa, if you want to approach them, is actually to approach the goldsmiths. Because they have a massive car park
Yeah, they do.
with no restrictions,
Yeah.
and I'm sure, being
Traders.
community
Yeah.
aware, they might actually say yes, we'll open the gates up.
I will ask them.
That would be a very good solution.
Thank you.
While we're talking about events, can I raise 3 additional points?
Not until any other business.
That's fine then.
You can if you wish.
No, I'm quite happy to wait. One is rubbish.
Oh God, yes, about that.
There's a lot of rubbish generated by these things and there's no extra bins.
Yeah, we're on it.
Superb. Secondly is, can they move all the dates about 10 days later?
No, we've had
Is
this
it the-
conversation.
Yeah, but if they did, they'd have loads and loads and loads of spare car parking.
Because the schools are on holiday.
Yeah,
Correct.
I know.
And it's an absolute, yeah,
It is,
it's
yeah.
a huge pain to have to work in the middle of this is disastrous.
I mean, I don't see why it can't be put to the council.
I
Dates
think
would be changed.
if it's too late to do this year, fair enough, but next year we should be thinking about that.
Mm,
You know, it is a very sensible way of using the town's assets.
mm,
And I know it would get a favourable hearing.
mm.
I think the only one I think might be a stumbling block is the Christmas fair, because a lot of people from Oundle School, the children and things, like to walk around there. They buy their hamburgers and things like that, and that increases their business.
It does, yeah.
Within reason,
You know.
but it also has a huge impact on,
Mm.
certainly on how I do my job. Because I'm in the middle of the town, so it's,
Yeah. No, I
my
understand
assets
that.
those days are destroyed.
Yeah.
And the last thing is parking, whether it's worth finding a friendly local car parking supplier that we could rent those road ramps you see at big festivals and stuff.
Mm.
So South Road, East, anywhere, some big bit of grass, even when the rain's nasty, you can still put matting down.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the metal one.
And yes, we know that they know they're going to get 3 contracts a year from us, and it's always the Wreck or South Road or Flintfield or something that they can park on.
Well, you can
Just give us
charge
extra
pound
capacity.
a
Yeah.
car, can't
And
they?
people would pay a couple of quid to park
Yeah,
here rather than there and walk.
and walk in the mud.
So it's just a matter of, and there's lots and lots of temporary things you can do
Mm.
that would
Okay.
ease the pressure.
Well, another car parking space in the town, but in the latter years we've had no joy, but we could try again, is the Ampsis car park, which is huge.
The what, sorry?
Amps.
I mean, could traders park in there?
Well, Philip from Amps is
He's
on
one of the
the
traders,
committee
for
that
God's
we've,
sake.
yeah, but he's one of the ones that we've been discussing all the events, and he didn't actually suggest it.
No, he won't.
Even if he didn't
He
suggest it.
won't.
I know he does. I think last year he did some sort of, I don't know whether it was a tasting, but he had a very busy day
Oh, did
as
he?
well,
Fair
so I
enough
think his
then.
car park was fairly.
Yeah.
But I mean, I could still put it to him.
Even if a percentage.
Even if it was a percentage of the vehicles from the traders.
Mm.
In previous years, well certainly last year, for the Christmas market we used Fletton Field for the traders to park on. Now I know there's dispute over what's going to happen to that, and there's and it's not ours. It belongs to county at the moment. But we got permission from county to use it for the Christmas
We
market.
did this year.
Yes, they've been
We
using
did this
it.
year.
Yeah,
Last
You
year,
can't go on if
because
it's too wet.
No.
it was too wet, and I think because you did a stint, didn't you,
Yeah,
on
I
the
did.
car park here?
yeah,
It wasn't particularly well used, was
No.
it? Even though it was
it was
signposted
very
really
unused,
well.
yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
I did have it reported, one car did get stuck, but they got them out in the end, so it's not ideal. But yeah, I always apply for permission to use it.
Yeah.
But like you say, if we got some of that matting stuff.
Well, it's used in all the big events, isn't it? You know, sort of, if you go to Warwick Council, Castle, or all those sort of places, they have this on the grass verges where overflow cars go.
And you combine it with the next point, raise this issue of storage is a big one. So having people that come in, drop it and take it
Yeah.
seems a nice one.
Okay, well, let's go on to the next issue of storage. To consider purchase of a large container to store all necessary road signs, blah, 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 blah. You do know that a large 40-foot container is going to cost between £2,500 and £3,000. That's without lighting, without insulation, and that all needs to be done if you're going to use it. So you're looking at £3,500 in total, and you've got to find somewhere to put it. 40 foot by 12 foot by 9 foot is not an easy.
Well, Philip Amp said he was going to put it in his yard, didn't
Amps has offered.
Oh, he's going to put it in his.
He's
Oh,
offered
well,
to put it in
he's
his
got.
car.
Is that what you're talking about? Something that big?
he? No, I don't
Doesn't-
think,
doesn't have to be
he's
that
talking,
big.
I don't think he's talking about a full-size one. I think he's talking about 20-foot one.
Oh, right. Well, he says a large container.
Yeah.
Well,
40 foot is a large container.
Yeah, true.
I have one at the back of my store.
I've noticed it. Yeah. I've seen,
Yeah,
I've seen the planning application that went with it.
There is no planning application for it.
So Philip has already
No
got.
business rates either.
Philip's already got a storage unit that he's kindly storing quite a lot of our stuff in at the minute anyway. But when we were sorting out the arrangements for the Christmas market, he was having to pull loads of his stuff out to get to our stuff. And obviously we will be ordering more stuff. We've decided we need more road signs and everything, and he's quite happy for it to be located there because it's nice and central.
Brilliant.
For
Times.
I just needed your permission to start looking at prices, start looking at You know,
What's in Nobby's building?
loads of stuff.
Oh, it's chock-a-block.
Chock-a-block.
Have you not been in there?
No, I've not been in there, but are we sure that we need all that stuff in there?
Yeah,
No,
yeah. I mean, basically, it is more signs. There's electrical parts. There's a
It's
a
all their
worktop.
equipment, yeah.
There's all the mowers and the everything else. There's lots in there.
Okay. So the concept of this is fine, and having, just checked the price of these only 3 days ago.
Yeah.
You can get them for £1,600.
That's for a 20-footer.
Yeah,
Well,
I
there's-
saw
there's
some around about 50.
So a second one, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should do it because I like the idea that we're moving towards the point where we've got the traders of the town now starting to actually take ownership of
We should certainly support.
this sort of thing, and we need to mutually support each
So
other.
the only reservation I've got is one of us doing bits piecemeal, when I joined the council we were building a proper building on the rugby car park, we
Yeah,
got
I know.
in there, and we're going in piecemeal. However, having said that, this is the right thing to do. Because when we finish with it, it can be sold again.
Yeah.
You won't get it all back, but you get a bit back from it. And we're
It's
probably
not-
not.
See, if you go to certain container places, if you lag it out, I actually put felt in and then 6mm ply down, which
Yeah.
keeps it warm, keeps everything dry. You can put lighting in there as well. I've even got a generator if I need it. You know, you always get your money back. You'll never lose on it, amazingly enough.
No.
The only thing is making sure people can't break into it, so you have to get really good locks.
Well, it's also where the AMS car park comes in.
Exactly.
They've got a big external gate.
Yeah. No, so we should support him on it.
So we're going to put that to the full council, asking them for £1,600.
Well, we did need to find out.
I'll go and get some quotes.
We're just
Let him, if he can get some quotes. Yeah. 'cause-
Yeah, he might, because he's already got one container, so he might be able to
Yeah.
get.
So he gets some quotes, because you know the delivery of them as well. You know, so you know, I've just for some work I'm doing, I was looking at hiring one, and it's £320 in each direction delivery.
Oh yeah, no, it's not cheap
So
for
you know, when you've got like £1,600 for a container, and then talking about a quarter of that for cost for delivery.
Yeah.
and the way the council writes stuff off, it'll never go down in
And tell him
value.
whatever he does, he mustn't tell David Chappell, or he won't get planning permission. He'll get £100 there.
Okay. Thank you.
It is an interesting point though, isn't it? You know, these containers go in, you know, and I know one trader in Roundell's got one around the back of his premises. But you know, you can put a temporary building up, but at what point is it not temporary?
Well, exactly.
You have to be able to prove that it's movable.
Which it is. Mine is movable.
Prove it.
Yeah, you have to move
It's
it.
not attached. It has no
They should actually
electrical,
make you move it.
it
and
has
bring
no
it to-
electrical
Yes.
That's what they do when you
wiring
down
from
and
any area.
pick them up and move them
Move
3
them.
inches.
Yeah. Well, I know you've done.
Right.
Keep going.
Are we finished with that? Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. To receive November action plan and progress updates. Is there anything you want to talk about on that?
Thank you, Doctor. Apologise.
Just going to talk about the boundary wall again. When I had a quick look at the church entrance, can I just check, if you're looking at the entrance from the Great Hall, from that angle, is it the right hand side of the gate or the left hand side of the gate? So on the left hand side there's a huge crack.
Yeah, that's
That's
Philip Rose's wall.
Yeah,
It's
so
the right
it's
hand
the right.
side. It does lean a little bit.
Yeah, I couldn't see it, but I'll go and look again.
Philip Rose is actually trying to deal with that.
That's fine. No, I just wondered.
But he's in Florida at the moment.
Place.
So. By the way,
It's to the right-hand side of that opening, as you're standing on the road, looking from the Great Hall across towards the church.
I will have a look.
It's on the right-hand side. You can see it better inside the churchyard.
yeah.
From the inside, you can see the cracks in the wall there.
Have we had any reply yet? I mean, I noticed there's no reply as of the 16th of the first 20 for the Conquer Championships.
No, not a word. Not heard a thing. The contact details I got were off their website for information. Contact. It was just a generic one that I emailed, but I've detailed everything that we'd said and what the offer was and if they were interested, but not had a response.
Could I have a copy?
Yeah.
Thanks. I've dealt with that. Contracts related to moved out. That's done that. Final quotes.
What's happening about the overgrown graves at the cemetery, Lisa?
I've told John and Nobby about it, and they have passed the information on, and they, obviously John always supervises anyway, but they've got the community payback. They've made the community payback people aware that they need to concentrate a bit more attention on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I should go and lay some more wooden crosses, and I might have quite a few of the Legion with me this time. On the 8th of May, when we do our little service at 11 o'clock, before this civic thing is supposed to happen at 2 o'clock, we're going to pop down to the cemetery, put these wooden crosses on each of the 13 war graves. So if possible, if we can
Make sure
have
there's
those brambles and things removed by then, that would be great.
Yeah. Okay.
Everything else okay? Is everybody happy with that? Right, can I go around the table for...
I'm doing everything I can to work out who is EO.
Me.
Estates officer.
I thought you were going to say BO then for a minute.
Estates officer. Estates officer. They said that
Is it Lisa or Lisa, and then has she got to change her surname?
Right, any other business? Tony?
No, not for me.
Ian?
No.
Roy?
Yes, to add to our Queen Victoria Hall working group list, I was told Thursday of last week that we've got no hooks to hold the front doors open. We've got wedges apparently that we've put in,
Yeah.
but they disappear.
Yes, they
We-
do. I don't know how many I've bought since I've been there. I don't know who's taking them.
Every time certain users of it have got something on there and they want to prop the doors open to let the public in, the wedges have disappeared and there's no
Victoria
hooks.
Hall, yeah. Victoria Hall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So that'll just be a John and Nobby thing, wouldn't it?
yeah.
Okay.
Val?
Nothing, no.
Well, just to update you, Lisa will tell you as well, there's lots of lights have gone, and John's in the QVH, and John's been to Sadler's and got a really good alternative, which I believe is it two that they're doing?
LED lights,
Yeah, LED lighting,
Two they've
but
got.
without the balustrades, so that next time it goes, A, there won't be all the bits and bobs you have to buy for the balustrades, which all cost money, and B, these lights should last at least 5 to 10 years. So overall, it'll work out even Stevens. But there are other ones.
It's going to go on the next QVH to replace the remaining ones. The reason two of them, well, certainly one of them needed replacing is it was smoky, and part of this complicated light fitting has gone. And if they replace that and replace the other bits on it, it's going to cost a certain amount. Whereas if we go for the LED ones, it's going to be it's round about the same price, but in the long run, it's going to be better.
Yeah.
So we're getting the ones done that need to be done, and then with a view to replacing all of the others at some future point.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think.
Just two
Sorry.
things for me to mention.
Lisa?
The police have given notice for their room here at Fletton House downstairs, which they share with EMC. They're going to be out of there by the 28th of February. So now Emma has contacted and is liaising with EMC to sort out a new contract directly with them. So just to update you on that. And then I've had interest by a hairdresser for Office 8 at the courthouse. Obviously it's perhaps not ideal, but she's very interested, but it would involve the room is one room, but it's got a partition wall, so it's got essentially two rooms. So what she would need if we were interested in having her there and her coming is a sink fitting. But before I went down the route of trying to obtain quotes and finding out first if it's doable, and if so how much, I obviously need your viewpoint on how you would feel about a hairdresser being in Office 8 at the courthouse.
Where is Office 8?
So you know the entrance of on Stoke Hill, go in that entrance straight up the stairs, back on yourself, and it's the office on there, well, as you look at it on your left.
Will she be annoying any of the other tenants?
Well, this is the thing we've got to check. That's one of the things to consider, because obviously there'll be hair dryers and that sort of thing. So we'd have to speak to Justin, who would be opposite her. I think he would be the only one that would be affected by it, to be fair.
We'd have to
Well, I'm
look
thinking
at...
water. We'd have to look at water because we had this over the dog washing. Because at the moment they don't pay separately, do they?
I did warn her about
We'd
this. I
have
said,
to completely change the way in which we charge for the services,
yeah.
because also with dryers there would be a constant use of electricity for the dryers, which is not.
I know it was talked
cheap.
about before, but nothing's ever been done about it with the barbers and the hairlock room.
Yeah, but we have to
But
now. I mean, that would,
I
if
did
we
say
did,
to her that potentially it could happen.
and we should actually. with 2 people using
Mm.
extra
think-
services.
Three, if she said.
What you have though, you have a very successful barber's there.
I don't care whether it's
No,
successful
what I'm saying,
or not.
what I'm saying is, it's a very successful barber's, so hairdressers might be successful as well, but I agree with you, Val, we've got to look at how much water they use,
Absolutely,
how much
the cost of
electricity
putting all
used.
that in.
Yeah, because,
We've also
I mean,
got to
obviously,
look at-
you've got the dog thing as well, haven't you? So
Yeah.
there's 3 areas there that would use
Using-
probably more water per hour than some of the officers would use in a week.
In a week or more.
In a year.
A year.
Yeah.
You will
It's
use a
just
huge
tea.
amount of water.
Huge,
Um,
but you know about
yeah.
it. At hairdressing
Yeah,
shop.
on salons, yes.
Wasn't there some talk though last time that the actual cost of installing meters in the 3 rooms would in effect, yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's
Well, I think-
what stopped any movement with it before.
Well, yes, so
If
we
you're
may
gonna have
say,
to
no,
remember.
we can't afford to do it.
If you're going to have that kind of business come here, then I think they've probably got to meet the cost of that as an initial cost. And we've got to look at reinstatement of that back to an office when they leave.
Yeah, well, I've already said to
Because I've
her,
taken over premises where I've found backwashers and things in the middle of a room, and it's cost a fortune to take them all out, sort out lots and lots of plumbing. There's a lot of
well, this is what I said to her, I said
I'd
I'd obviously got to get the feel from you first before I even start to investigate as to whether it's even doable to get a water source up there, and I suppose it will be, but it's just it's how
Is there a change of use situation from office to
It'd be B2.
that
wouldn't
kind
it?
of a service?
Yeah.
Would it be B2?
I would have thought,
Yes, it would be, because
Yeah.
I remember it coming through for hairlock grooming.
Yeah.
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 So there's a lot of things to
There
consider.
are, yeah, and you'd have to include that in the reinstatement.
Yeah,
Change of use back to what it would normally be, otherwise you won't be able to use that as an office
No.
again until somebody applies for a change of use.
so you want a full repairing
Probably also our expense.
situation under restoration.
Yeah, yeah.
Looks as though it's a no-goer.
Like a very good fit.
I think it's
I
probably
don't
a
think it's a
no-go.
goer.
Will
Do you?
we have anything better for her?
There's the hub.
Well, no, I was going to say, there
The,
used to be a hairdressers in and next to QVH.
Yeah. Turn it back.
Yeah, we're not turning it
Yeah.
back again, mate.
I mean, ideally, the workshop unit 1, where the artist is, would be best suited for her. But like I said to her, it's not available. I know he doesn't use it. I think I've only seen him once in 3.5 years.
Mm.
But it's not available.
As long as he pays the rent.
That's it.
Yeah,
What sort
He's
of
renting
office
it.
is it?
Yeah.
How
I
often
didn't
it
look at
goes
his
is up to
paintings
him.
when I went in there, but there was just lots of easels everywhere. And,
All right.
yeah. He came to the. He was the. That's the only time I've ever seen him. He came to our Christmas drinks thing.
I didn't
That's the
know.
first and only
Never
time
met
I've ever
him.
met him. He came up and introduced himself. And I thought,
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Oh, right.
okay, yeah, that's it from me.
That's it then. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Could I just have a quick word with Tony and Ian before you disappear?